Hey guys, it's Tombox here. Thanks for tuning into MST.TV, and this is the segment that you guys all know and love. It's a ruling segment specifically addressing some of the cards in Dark Neostorm and some of the more competitive plays in the current format that you'll see in some of these upcoming tournaments. So if you're going to be playing with some of these upcoming tournaments, I want to make sure that you guys are well equipped to deal with some of the rulings coming up so that you guys, first of all, aren't cheated out of a win because your opponent did not play properly, and second of all, I want to make sure that you guys are playing properly so that you don't misplay and then someone calls a judge on you, only for the ruling to not rule in your favor and costing you a game or two. And remember, the format right now is very quick, so that every card counts and every little misplay that you do might cost you the entire match and bubble you out. Now, if you guys want to see more segments like this, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you want to stay up to date with this kind of information, and I'll know to make more. And you can take it one step further by checking out the Patreon link down in the description below to show your support for little Tombox right here, just trying to survive. Anyways, let's talk about today's cards in question. For our most commonly misplayed cards, we have Mystic Mine, Orcus Dingirsu, and Crescendo, and there's an interaction with Symbol Skeleton and Chaos Dragon Levioneer that I want to address because that's actually going to be quite important. Then we have Omni Dragon Brotor and Crackdown. Crackdown, there's a lot of small little intricacies about how the effect is applied when it's interacting with various cards. And I have a final reminder and an update, of course, to making sure that everyone knows how to play Servant of the Endymion correctly. I may have made a mistake in the past, and hopefully I get to correct it right here, so here we go. The first card to address would be Mystic Mine. There's only a couple minor misplays in here, but I still want to talk about it just so that you guys aren't cheated out, because if you're locked out from Mystic Mine accidentally, that's the worst feeling. It already feels bad getting locked out by this card, so let's read over the card text. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate effects or declare an attack, and that affects the player. And this mandatory trigger right here, once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. That mandatory trigger, one thing I want to talk about, is during the end phase, which counts for both players' end phase. If you put a monster out there, you can expect that your opponent is going to link down to one monster or match your number, just so that during the end phase it will blow up. And once it has activated, even if you throw more cards onto your opponent's side, it does not matter because it has triggered, and because it has triggered, it will resolve as much as it can and it will destroy itself. But the other interaction that I kind of want to address is the Chaos Dragon Levioneer versus Metaverse. Now, this card does not negate effects. It prevents activation of monster effects, and because it does not allow for the activation, much like Abyss Dweller does not allow stuff to activate in the graveyard, this doesn't allow anything to activate anywhere. But if something has already activated, then it will continue to resolve, and this is the situation that I've seen where people have said that, hey, oh yeah, Mystic Mine, it doesn't let my opponent play any monster effects. To some degree that is true, but technically, if stuff has already activated, then it will continue to resolve. So if I summon out Chaos Dragon Levioneer and banish Lights and Darks as my summoning condition, and then I activate the effect of Chaos Dragon Levioneer from my summon trigger, if you chain Metaverse and put a Mystic Mine onto the field, it's going to resolve backwards. So Chainlink 2, you put the card onto the field, and Chainlink 1, I'm a non-targeting removal and destruction effect. I will pop that Mystic Mine right then and there in that same chain, just so that I will not be affected. And I'll probably pop another card along the way too. But yeah, that's just how it's going to be. It's just because I have already activated, and you can't stop that card from resolving. You're not negating anything. So yes, just so that we use the proper terms here, it doesn't stop all my effects. Anything that's already activated will continue to go through. So that's Mystic Mine. Let's move on to some Orcus stuff. So Orcus Crescendo, the Counter Trap, and Dingirsu, the Orcus of Evening Star. Both of these cards have their own awkward interaction. One is more of a specific ruling, and the other one is more of a misplay that you guys shouldn't be making, but it is related to the way that the card text is worded. So people kind of forget and kind of redact out their own text, which is unnecessary, but let's go over this right now with the counter trap first. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control an Orcus Link monster, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add to your hand one of the Dark Machine monsters that is banished or in your deck. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activated this effect except for Dark Machine monsters. You can use one Orcus Crescendo effect per turn and only once that turn. That last line is very crucial because people have been using both effects on the same turn because they forgot. They tried to wait till the end phase and use it, and they've completely forgot that you can only use one per turn. So if you negated something, you cannot get the machine add. And the actual second part regarding to the machine adding part is you cannot go into a Boral Sword after if you use this, because Boral Sword is a dragon. So if you have linked into anything else other than a dark machine, you cannot use the effect to add a dark machine that is banished. Because unlike your other Orcus monster states that you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon, say, one Orcus monster from your deck except for Orcus Heart Pourer. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for dark monsters. You notice that the wording is slightly different here. It says that you cannot special summon monsters the turn you activated this card except dark monsters. That means for the entire turn rather than for the rest of the turn. So if at any point you've summoned out anything that is not a dark machine, then you will not be able to use Crescendo's effect to add a dark machine from your deck or banish to your hand. So there is a stronger limitation. It is much more restrictive, and don't use it the same turn you activate it. It's nice that you can ditch it and use it, because it does not say that you have to wait for a full turn. People have been kind of just shotgunning it, just doing it right away, and basically playing a whole turn ahead without the restriction. And that is something you should catch your opponent doing as soon as you can, because it is a big restriction. Let me tell you that. As for the second card, now Dingirsu, I want to address the one part of the effect that really matters, which is if this card is special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Send one card your opponent controls to the graveyard, or attach one of the banished monsters to this card as a material. Okay, so we're in North America, and as you know, we're in TCG NA, where the activation location of those cards matter. Remember the Call of the Haunted Deneb ruling, where if I MST randomly and targeted your face down Call of the Haunted, you chain Call of the Haunted, summon out the Deneb. Guess what? The Deneb is destroyed within the same chain, and then Deneb does not get to activate, even though it was successfully summoned in, even though it had an if trigger, it did not matter. So the same thing applies to the Dingirsu, unfortunately. So if I use a Chaos Dragon Levioneer, and I summon it out using Lights and Darks, and then my opponent chains with the Symbol Skeleton while the Orcus Babel is face up, and they banish the Symbol Skeleton, targeting the Dingirsu. Dingirsu is now summoned out, so that will be Chainlink 2 resolving. Chainlink 1, my Chaos Dragon is going to pop the Dingirsu, and also perhaps pop like the field spell. Both of them go away, and then nothing happens. In TCG NA, because the Dingirsu was no longer on the field at the end of the resolution, it does not get to pop or send any of my cards to the graveyard, which is a major setback for anyone playing Orcus in North America. It is very weird. I really wish they would fix this thing, but this does not apply if you're playing in Europe. Basically, the rest of the world, if you're playing in the rest of the world, this does not apply to you at all. You will be able to get your effects to go through, but in North America, Chaos Dragon Levioneer will crush that play. It is very funny. Your Bardiche won't even activate either, because the monster was removed before it was able to successfully stick onto the arrow. So yeah, that is a very big thing, and you guys should pay close attention to that, because it's going to come up quite a bit, especially if you're using an online simulator like YGO Pro. YGO Pro will let it activate, but if you try to go to regionals in anywhere in the United States or Canada, it will not. So yeah, that is one of the bigger problems. So yeah, this is a TCG NA versus the rest of the world. Omni Dragon Brotor is a very funny card because the misplays are always so devastating. Like, you're missing out on some of the major pluses, and you're letting your opponent get away with several things, like ashing him during the damage step. What is this? So let's talk about the various things about Omni Dragon Brotor. So if this card is in your hand or in the graveyard, if a monster is destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effect, you get to summon out this card. Of course, you have to control that monster that's being killed. And when it's special summoned out, it will get, when it leaves the field, it will get banished. Okay, that's the summoning condition. Okay, that aside, the effect to search a card that part is amazing, but it's kind of confusing because people are like, oh, he has a cost to discard. First of all, the discarding part is not a cost. It's part of the effect. So if Brotor gets Ash, you will not discard a card. I've seen people like throw away their cards because they didn't understand the card's context very well. Yeah, so you do not discard a card if it gets ashed, okay? And the next part is you target a monster. You can target from either side of the field. You can even target like your Thunder Dragon to add Thunder Dragon Duo. There's like everything technically can be targeted as long as you have a different name, same type, same attribute as whatever you target. So usually because it's a Dark Dragon, you can add Phantasme, you can add Chaos Emperor Dragon, you can add Chaos Dragon Levioneer, and those are some of the more common targets that you're likely going to see. Okay, now, funny thing is, if a monster is destroyed by battle, which is fairly common, say they want to kill your Amorphage Goliath, this card summons out. A lot of people have been ashing the search effect, which is, well, incorrect because it's damage step. You can't ash it. And another thing that people have been doing wrong with this card is that they are discarding like a danger monster, which is like, yeah, it's very beneficial. However, a lot of people summon out this card from Guard Dragon LP, and LP locks you into dragons, and since you're locked into dragons, when you're discarding any danger that is Tsuchinoko or Jackalope, those guys will not trigger because you are not allowed to summon anything but dragons. Unless there's a dragon danger in your deck, those cards won't activate. So the best card to throw away would be Nessie. So that's a misplay that I've been seeing. And some people actually have been summoning out. So you should catch your opponent on that because that extra monster usually means that you're losing one additional card because Diabolos will now be able to rip another card out of your hand because now it has fodder. So that is... And losing one card is usually quite devastating. What about that Sphere Mode, or what about that other card that you really needed for your combo? It can go away, and it's very painful. And especially when that's done illegally, it feels the worst. So those are the things that you should keep in mind for Brotor, okay, guys? And alright, let's move on to the next card, Crackdown. Crackdown is one of the funniest yet most awkward misplayed card coming from people that are lying about its effects and just people don't understanding the rulings of continuous cards. So let's read over Crackdown. It's a continuous trap card. Activate this card by targeting one face-up monster your opponent controls. Take control of that monster. While you control that monster, it cannot attack or activate its effects. And if that monster is removed from the field, destroy this card. Okay, so the funniest thing that people have been doing is lying about this card. What they do is, when the Crackdown is destroyed, they keep the monster. Like, wait, what are you doing? There is an instance where you can keep the monster, but it is one that we all know how it works. It's flipping the card face down. But the funniest thing is when they just destroy the card and then they're like, oh, you don't get the card back. It doesn't say that you get the card back. That is very silly. It just blows my mind. So yeah, if you blow up the Crackdown, it gives it back to him. And one of the funnier things that this lie has kind of resulted is that people have been blowing up the monster. Say they summon out a Chaos Dragon Levioneer. Rather than blowing up Crackdown, they blow up the monster. Rather than getting their own monster back, they just blow it up. If I can't have it, you can't have it, and then therefore they just blow it up. It's very silly. So yeah, make sure you just blow up Crackdown, you get the monster back. Because according to the OCG ruling, it states that the effect of taking control of the targeted monster and preventing it from attacking or activating its effect is an effect that's applied to the targeted monster. Alright, there's a reference for this as well, which is really nice. And this card targets one face-up monster in your opponent's monster zone, and its effect continues to target that monster. This is actually very key for the other upcoming rulings about this card. So, several fun things. There's 4 fun things about this card. There's one interaction with Royal Decree, there's an interaction with Lance, and there's 2 interactions with Book of Moon. Okay, let's start with the Royal Decree one. If you have this Crackdown activated targeted to your opponent's monster, and then you have Royal Decree flip face up, if Royal Decree is blown up afterwards, you'll take that monster again. If Royal Decree is active, you give that monster a rack, okay? So that's first interaction. Second interaction is Forbidden Lance. So if I activated Crackdown, targeted your monster, and then you went ahead and chained Forbidden Lance for all cards, and then okay, so that monster is unaffected. However, my Crackdown again is continuously targeting your card, so the moment that your protection from Forbidden Lance is expired, I'll take control of that card. And then there's the Book of Moon interaction, which to me is very awkward, but based on the card text of Crackdown, because Crackdown states that you take control of that monster, and because it says take control of that monster, it doesn't care whether or not the target is face up anymore, at least during this interaction. So if you chain Book of Moon to Crackdown, the monster will flip face down and it will be taking control of face down. Yeah, it's in there. It's really weird. You can check out the Wikipedia ruling on that, and there's even a reference for it. And then the other ruling is that if you Book of Moon the monster when you already control the Crackdown, if you do it like that, what happens is that you book the monster flip face down. Crackdown is now no longer attached. This is a separate chain. And then if you flip the monster face up again, Crackdown is no longer attached to the monster, but the monster, since it was not removed, you have a floating Crackdown and you have a monster you control. And if the monster is destroyed, the Crackdown is still going to be stuck face up. Now, in terms of the previous interaction where you chain Book of Moon and the monster is taken face down, if you flip the monster face up again, Crackdown is still targeting it. But if you flip it face down one more time, then now it's detached. Yeah, very strange. So if you do it within the same chain, it will try to keep on resolving. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, I would say, for any beginners learning the rules. And it sounds like you're trying to cheat someone out, but honestly, you're not trying to do anything. You're just following the rules according to the card text and the rulings given. So that would be Crackdown. And for our final reminder, so Servant of the Endymion, if you remove 3 spell counters while this card is on the pendulum scale, you will be able to special summon herself out and another monster, and it's a simultaneous summon. It counts as 1 summon, so you can technically go into Phoenix and pop a summon limit if you really wanted to. But remember, the effect that is on the pendulum scale, although it does not state once per turn, you've attempted to summon it. So if this card gets ashed, if it gets ashed on the scale, because you attempted to summon it, and it will try to resolve, and during the resolution it will be negated, the effect will be negated, it does count towards that summon. This is a ruling based off of an old precedent of Monster Reborn versus the Ritual Beast Tamer Lara. Lara can only be special summoned out once per turn. If you try to Monster Reborn her, and then the Monster Reborn gets its effect negated, not the activation, the effect negated, then you will not be able to summon out another copy of Lara. So the same case applies to our Servant. That's why they didn't even need the text, although I think we would have appreciated the text being in the box. Yeah, you cannot use the effect. You cannot remove another 3 counters unless somehow the activation is completely negated. So that's my final reminder, and that's all I got for this ruling segment, guys. Hopefully you guys catch on to all of this stuff that you guys might need to deal with in the future, or perhaps these interactions that you might face in the future. If you guys enjoyed this video, smack that thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit the subscribe button. I got another ruling segment that is stuff that's aren't in the rule books, so stay tuned for that. And as always, I got more deck profiles. I'm trying to do some live games coming up for next week, and got my Madolche stuff ready. Got my Danger Dino Thunder, no Danger in there, just Dino Thunder in there. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe, check out the Patreon link in the description for some updates of the latest ongoings, and see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.